asked you what the best Netflix show ever made is, what would you choose? Some might say Squid Game or The Queen's Gambit, but for me, ever since 2020, it's been Dark. Dark is a German Netflix original that stands out with its exceptional writing and brilliant performances. This show is a masterclass in storytelling, with every detail carefully crafted to pull you deeper into its web. Everything about Dark is top-notch. Of course, no show is truly perfect, but in my mind, this one comes pretty close. It's got the right number of seasons, a well-paced story, and a plot that's nearly flawless. The way the writers chose to unravel the story is so effective that it feels like every piece falls exactly where it should. In fact, Dark is intricately designed that almost 90% of the YouTube videos about it focus on explaining its timelines or breaking down its complex narrative. I've spent plenty of time watching those videos myself, getting lost in the details. But here's the thing, Dark is more than just a puzzle to solve. The show is so captivating that we often forget to ask the bigger question. What's the message behind the complexity? Today we're going to explore that very question. Spoilers ahead, so let's dive in. Adam and Eve. To understand the deeper layers of Dark, we need to step back and look at one of the oldest stories known to humanity, the story of Adam and Eve. Most of us know it from religious texts like the Bible or the Quran. It's a classic tale of the first man and woman, creation, temptation, and the fall. But this story isn't just a religious one, it's a universal myth that echoes through cultures across the world. You'll find versions of Adam and Eve in mythology too. Take Persian mythology for example. Here we also encounter stories of the first man and woman, but the narrative goes beyond the simple act of creation. In these ancient tales, symbolism plays a crucial role, symbols that connect directly to the themes we see in Dark. In Persian mythology, women are often depicted as a symbol of life. The earth itself is imagined as a woman, fertile and life-giving, impregnated by the god of the sky. Death is associated with masculinity. This duality, life is feminine, death is masculine, sets up a dynamic that isn't just about creation, but about the balance between creation and destruction, between life and death. What Dark does so brilliantly is take these ancient myths, these universal symbols, and weave them into a story that feels both modern and timeless. It's not just a show about time travel or parallel worlds. It's a narrative that taps into the most fundamental stories we've been telling for centuries. It wasn't until my 5th or 6th rewatch of Dark that the themes started to truly reveal themselves to me. The first few times, I was caught up in Jonas's transformation into Adam, Eva's manipulation of Martha, and Claudia's struggle to keep the timeline straight in order to break it at the end. After rewatching the show for the 6th time, I finally felt like I understood the intricacies of where, when, and what world everything was happening. With that foundation, the deeper meanings and inspirations behind the show became clearer. Dark feels like what would happen if a religious scientist tried to make sense of the universe. The show is rich with scientific references, with its world building heavily grounded in theories of time, parallel worlds, and quantum mechanics. But religion plays an equally important role. Not just one specific religion, but the philosophy of religions as a whole. Themes of creation, sin, and the eternal struggle between life and death are deeply woven into the narrative. To understand this, we need to start at the beginning, the creation of the world in Dark. In the show, two parallel worlds are born out of an accident, an event caused by H.G. Tannhaus that split reality into two. These worlds weren't created by chance, but by a tragic mistake, and out of that accident came the worlds of Adam and Eva. Now, the names of Adam and Eva aren't just coincidental. They're direct references to the story of the first man and woman, but Dark takes this story and gives it a twist. In the traditional tale, Adam and Eve are the progenitors of humanity, the source from which all life flows. This idea is mirrored in Dark, where Adam and Eva are central figures around whom their respective worlds are built. They are the creators and the source of most of humanity within their worlds, but there's a crucial difference. Their worlds aren't real. In religious texts, Adam and Eve's story is one of the creation and fall of man, often symbolized by the act of eating the forbidden fruit, often believed to be an apple, but sometimes understood as a metaphor for something else, like knowledge or even sex. In Dark, this theory is taken further. The show assumes the theory that the original sin led to the creation of the unknown, the mysterious entity that serves as a catalyst for the events in these two parallel worlds. This sin, this act of creation, is what fuels the cycles of existence in Adam and Eva's worlds, perpetuating the loop of time. But here's where it gets interesting. A man is associated with death, while a woman is a symbol of life. Dark adapts this symbolism. Eva is determined to preserve the loops and the knot, to keep life going, even if it's flawed. Adam, on the other hand, seeks to destroy it, to bring an end to the endless cycle of suffering. In a real, balanced world, this dynamic between life and death, creation and destruction, is what keeps the universe in harmony. Women give life, men, in their own way, take it back. But because the worlds in Dark are false, this balance doesn't exist. Whether Adam destroys or Eva preserves, it doesn't matter. The result is always chaos. Both their efforts are ultimately futile because their worlds were never meant to exist in the first place. The show suggests that true peace can only come when both Adam and Eva, along with their false worlds, are gone. It's a powerful statement that challenges the very nature of creation and destruction as we understand it. And I have to add that life and death are broad themes here. If you look closely at their actions, Eva kills people to preserve the loop, while Adam protects in order to destroy it. It's a rather interesting paradox. At its core, Dark isn't just a show about time travel or parallel worlds. It's a tale that explores what happens when humans interfere with the natural world, when they attempt to take control over life and death. This theme is embodied in the actions of H.G. Tannhaus, whose desperate attempt to change the course of fate by creating a new world almost brings everything to ruin. In many ways, Dark is telling the story of what happens when humanity tries to play God. The power to give life or take it away is traditionally seen as belonging to a greater force, whether you call it God, the universe, or some other higher power. It's a power that governs the order of the world, maintaining the balance between creation and destruction. But in Dark, we see what happens when a human being, driven by grief and loss, tries to take that power into his own hands. Tannhaus's creation of the parallel worlds is an act of defiance against this natural order. He refuses to accept the death of his family, and in doing so, he disrupts the balance of the universe. His interference creates the false worlds where Adam and Eva struggle endlessly to either destroy or preserve life. But because these worlds were born from an act of human hubris, they are inherently flawed. No matter how hard Adam and Eva fight, their efforts are ultimately meaningless because their worlds were never meant to exist. Dark also tackles the question of free will. Throughout the story, characters grapple with their inability to change their fate. Over and over, they try to alter their destiny, only to find themselves trapped in the same loop, making the same mistakes. This raises the question, is free will an illusion? In the false worlds, it certainly seems that way. No matter what the characters do, they can't break free from the cycles of suffering that define their existence. But Tannhaus's story suggests something else. While his actions bring devastating consequences, he does succeed in altering life and death. He creates life, even if it's in the form of parallel worlds. This act of creation is what sets the entire series in motion. It's proof that under extraordinary circumstances, human beings can exert their will over the forces that govern life and death. Not to mention the fact that Jonas and Martha also break these cycles in order to save Tannhaus's family. But Dark also shows the cost of such interference. Tannhaus's attempt to defy the natural order nearly leads to the end of everything. His success is bittersweet, a reminder that while we might have the power to change our fate, doing so often comes with a very heavy price. In the end, Dark suggests that there is a limit to how much we can or should control. The balance of the universe is fragile, and if we try to tip the scales, we risk unleashing chaos. The show challenges us to consider the consequences of our actions, to reflect on the ways in which we might be trying to exert control over forces that are beyond our understanding. One of the most intriguing characters in Dark is Claudia Tiedemann, often referred to as the White Devil. Claudia initially appears as a seemingly benevolent one figure. She presents herself as a guardian of the time loop, someone who's working to ensure that the world remain balanced. But as the story progresses, it paints her in a morally ambiguous light. The title of the White Devil reflects this duality. She is both a savior and a manipulator. She sees herself as a necessary force to counteract the chaos caused by Adam and Eva. In her quest to achieve this, Claudia takes on a role that is both godlike and deeply flawed. Her actions are guided by a belief that she alone understands the true nature of the world and that she must make sacrifices, including the manipulation and destruction of others, to achieve her goal. Claudia's character challenges the traditional notions of good and evil. She embodies the idea that the pursuit of the higher goal can lead to ethical compromises and moral dilemmas. Her actions, while aimed at achieving a greater good, often involve manipulation, deceit, and sacrifice. Love and desire. Love is one of the most powerful and recurring themes in Dark, yet in the world of Dark, love is not portrayed as a purely positive force. Instead, it often leads to destruction, suffering, and the perpetuation of the time loop. Take Noah, for instance. His love for Charlotte and Elizabeth is one of the few genuine connections he experiences in a life filled with manipulation and deceit. However, this love drives him to commit unspeakable acts in an attempt to reunite with them, ultimately contributing to the cycle of pain that traps the characters in endless loops. His desire to protect his family becomes the very thing that binds him to his tragic fate. Similar to Noah, the love between Jonas and Martha is central to the series. Their love transcends time and dimensions, pulling them together across worlds. This love is also the catalyst for much of the chaos that unfolds. Their connection is so powerful that it defies the natural order. The love that Jonas and Martha share is intense and consuming, but is also destructive, highlighting Dark's complex portrayal of love as both a saving grace and a curse. The Hermetic principles. Themes of Dark can be found in Hermetic principles, particularly the idea that everything is dual, everything has poles, everything had its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet, all paradoxes may be reconciled. This principle is deeply embedded in the relationship between Adam and Eva. While they appear to be opposing forces, Adam representing destruction and Eva representing preservation, they are in fact two sides of the same coin. They are not true opposites, but rather different expressions of the same fundamental truth. Their actions are intertwined and their fates are inextricably linked. The show suggests that to understand one, you must also understand the other. They form a united system that drives the cycle of time and dark. This unity of opposites is a recurring theme throughout the series. The duality of life and death, creation and destruction, love and hate. All these forces are shown to be interconnected. Dark uses these principles to explore the nature of reality, suggesting that what we perceive as opposite are merely different manifestations of the same underlying reality. This idea challenges the characters and the audience to see beyond binary thinking and to embrace these complexities. So that's all I have for today. What do you think? Do you agree with me or not? Let me know in the comments and see you next time.